From 2007, many areas of northern and eastern Uganda suffered successive flooding and drought periods, which culminated in serious food shortage. In response to this crisis, the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries came together with the Ministry of Disaster Preparedness and agreed in partnership with a private company, Godswill Enterprises, to help farmers in most affected areas to access disease-free cassava planting materials.
So we came here and assessed this situation here, and we realized actually that this was the only opportunity that was there that could allow us to access a significant amount of pure, clean planting material that has been managed through the support of Namulonge. The investors worked very closely with the research, and they have ensured that the quality of the research, the cassava that is here, really is the cassava that we would like to have as a basis for a multiplication program. So we took the decision as the NAADS program. We were mandated, we were tasked to acquire all this cassava, develop a very sound farmer-based multiplication strategy, and make sure that this cassava reaches the most hard-hit districts that lacked good planting materials.
Cassava was chosen as a strategic food security crop because of its popularity as a staple food in the region and general resistance to long spells of dry weather.
Cassava is a crop that is happy in the dry season, and most farmers dread dry season. So in the dry season, this cassava grows very well. So you don't have any problems with the weather pattern. And we've planted here, as you can see across, and over the end of the horizon there, they all adds this thing to about 300 acres.
Under the partnership, Godswill Enterprises was supported by the National Agricultural Advisory Services, NAADS, with funds amounting to 1.89 billion shillings to produce 42,000 bags of cassava cuttings. The cassava cuttings are from variety 2961, which is resistant to brown streak disease, common in most cassava growing areas. The cassava cuttings were to be supplied to farmers in 8 of the most affected districts for multiplication.
From the information that we had from the Ministry of Disaster Preparedness, from the Ministry of Agriculture, 8 districts were selected for this initiative. These districts included Katakwi and Amuria in eastern Uganda, Dokolo and Lira in the Lango sub-region, Padera and Amuru was selected from the Choli region, and then Arua and Nebi were selected from the Western region. We also wanted to ensure that in the event there were floods again or drought in these areas, this cassava was also taken to 2 districts that are considered generally reliable, having reliable rainfall, so that we would be assured that we would not lose everything if the worst came to the worst. So 2 other districts were selected. This included Kabarole itself, where we are standing now, and then Mayuge. So these were the 8 districts that constituted the core for multiplication, the core district for multiplication of this cassava.
It is planned that after all the 42,000 bags of cassava cuttings are distributed in the 8 target districts, farmers will be able to plant 7,000 acres of this high-yielding and disease-resistant variety that will then be distributed to other farmers countrywide.
The objective of this process is really not for this cassava to address the immediate food security problem. The objective is to lay the ground for sustainable availability of planting material. We have given guidance to the districts that are receiving this cassava material here to identify individual farmers who are prepared to invest in the multiplication of good quality planting materials, an opportunity to participate. So we are saying individuals who can invest in and plant 5 acres and above should receive first priority to receive these materials. Small farmers should be organized in groups whether they are already existing as groups under NAADS or they will be organized into groups for the purpose of multiplication. We would like a group of farmers to come together and identify acreage, 10 acres or more, and then they will receive this material and undertake multiplication as a group.
The National Agricultural Research Organization, NARO, has welcomed the partnership with the private sector in establishing a mechanism to reach farmers with the newly developed cassava varieties.
2 years ago, we realized that the efforts which NARO and research can make will not impact quickly into farming community and business community without linking up with other partners, including NAADS, including private sector like this one, Goodwill, including the individual farmers like Amoti. We can come up with very nice variety like this one, 2961, which is very high yielding, tolerant to the cassava brown streak, very resistant to mosaic, but we do not have the mechanism and resources to multiply it in this quantity. So we have treasured this linkage, and what we are doing now is to ensure that this private sector, NAADS and other organizations would give us the feedback of what kind of cassava varieties and other intervention they would need. So by linking up together, we have managed to distribute massive materials through NAADS to Tesu sub-region, Lango sub-region, West Nile, and also in Buganda. And we feel that within 2-3 years, this variety will be saturated in the farming community.
Some of the farmers and farmer groups who received the cassava cuttings are already reaping benefits of increased food supply and income from sale of cuttings to other farmers. Jen Ogwal is one of the beneficiary farmers in Lira. She received 80 bags of cassava cuttings and has already made her first sales of cuttings from her garden.
Enda dong tikiti neno krenio dong kita me okonyo wa kede tia konyo wa yora pola wor machanine o charo tiene mia puko mia dek ipiera ngwen nono hametia konyo wa isholo school fees pio tino kede dohi tia konyo wa ber ya chama berere tie kita me okonyo wa kede no utio chamo dang mit dang ber nywal dang atek otam iya nyim kadonga me don tieno kosho podok me omede dok ipito mi yo konyo wada yora ber onyayo mebeda duong akaro kitame tikere ni okosho.
Many women who are traditionally responsible for household food security have taken to cassava farming with this new variety, as testified by Jane Rosa in Lira.
Kere da romo nyayo boru wara na kana me wegi nangu binu nuongi na ber kita na nuo kede tam me mira chare ye mogona ni mira chate we konya kere chwalo tene school kere no kena ger kere wato da ber pasha ber pi wele maro ka binu gino buru gine ye kere ma chama magoda mira chat gire maguno ti chamo.
As a result of the high interest in the new cassava variety, Lira has now become self-sufficient in production of cassava cuttings.
In fact, if the secretary could tell us of the demand from other districts, we are able to supply to meet that demand because we have enough cassava cuttings.
Despite heavy rains which caused waterlogging in various parts of Katakwi district, production of cassava planting material of the new variety has now reached self-sufficiency levels.
Currently, the situation in terms of availability of planting materials is good. We have excess planting materials, which we ask other districts, like the Karamoja region, that doesn't have probably cassava cuttings, that Katakwi now is in the position of supplying cassava cuttings. But in the issue of the actual cassava tubers, we have a lot of problems here. Again, we witnessed waterlogging. So despite the fact that we have a lot of cassava cuttings, we may still have a problem of some food shortage because most of the cassava blocks that were established were affected by waterlogging.
In Katakwi, farmer groups of about 20 to 25 members were given cassava cuttings to plant on co-shared plots of more than 10 acres for each group. Kafada Farmers Group, one of the beneficiary groups, has over 15 acres and is set to reap good profits from their crop.
Each cassava bag of cassava cuttings in Katakwia here goes at about 15 to 20,000. So in an acre like this of 16, in a block like this of 16 acres, these people are going to earn anything close to about 4-5 million shillings from cassava cuttings alone before they have lifted the tubers.
Kapujan sub-county in Katakwi district was one of the areas suffering severe food shortage before the disease-resistant variety of cassava was brought in.
So with this variety, our food security situation has greatly changed in the sub-county. We started implementing the promotion of this variety, first of all by opening 60 acres. Then we planted 33 acres. One of the blocks is where we are now. These are 16 blocks of 2961 variety.
The food security situation has improved. We have enough cassava. Even the planting materials are now, farmers are multiplied, and we're able to, at least on our own, provide materials to the rest of the district for planting.
One of the important elements of this cassava multiplication for food security and income generation is the training of farmers.
NARO and NAADS are going to work hand in hand to train the farmers who have received these cassava cuttings so that they know how to manage a cassava field properly for maximum yield and benefit. We will have from time to time inspectors from the Ministry of Agriculture taking periodic checks to ensure that the tolerance to the cassava brown stick is holding. Now, of course, farmers have a responsibility. One of the biggest challenges, particularly in the east and north, where cassava is sometimes harvested during the dry season, is the fact that while the farmers require good quality dry material, they're harvesting at a time when they cannot replant the cassava stems. And in that way, they lose the cassava stems. We would like to appeal to all districts, the district production departments, to train farmers on what you would call partial harvesting. You can actually harvest cassava all the time. Farmers only need to know that you can actually harvest cassava all the time and get your good quality material without being destructive, so that the cassava stems remain in place until you are able again to plant in another field.
Mayuge is one of the districts selected for cassava multiplication intervention, although it is not one of the food insecure districts. It was selected to provide buffer planting materials if wide-scale drought or flooding destroys cassava gardens in the target food insecure districts. Bofulubi Prison Farm in Mayuge district is one of the sites where large-scale cassava multiplication is now underway. The prison services has welcomed the additional boost to its food supplies.
What is the name of this prison? We haven't harvested, but we tested the list and we saw the yield was okay. We normally give it to our inmates to eat.
Sustained support to the Cassava Multiplication Initiative will be enhanced through continued partnership with private sector players like God's Will Enterprises.